Good day, everyone. Today, we will be discussing the assigned topic for us, which is all about problem solving and creativity. So let me show you first our advanced organizer. So first, we will be discussing about Torrance creativity framework, and it is composed of fluency, flexibility, elaboration, and originality. Next is we will also discuss creative problem solving, or the CPS, as well as its 6 stages. So first, let me show you Torrance framework for creative thinking. But before anything else, let me present to you first Edward Paul Torrance. So who is Edward Paul Torrance? So he is the one who proposed the Torrance framework for creative thinking. So he is known in the world as the father of creativity for his nearly 60 years of research that became the framework for the field of gifted education. So, the Torrance test of creative thinking helped shatter the theory that IQ tests alone were sufficient to gauge real intelligence. So, Torrance made this theory, or this Torrance test of creative thinking, para i-shatter niya na ang IQ test alone ma-measure ang intelligence sa usa ka tawo. So he made this one para i-clarify na with the use of the framework for creative thinking, pwede po na to ng ma-test ang intelligence sa usa ka tawo. So next is, the test solidified what heretofore was only conceptual, namely that creative levels can be scaled then increased through practice. So a common framework for creative thinking processes is described by Torrance 1979. Each aspect is defined in the next slide, along with ways to facilitate the respective aspect by using keywords and application activity. So first is the fluency. Let me define you first what is fluency. So fluency refers to the production of a great number of ideas or alternate solutions to a problem. Fluency implies understanding, not just remembering information that is learned. So in fluency, we need to have a lot of ideas in our minds or solutions in order to solve a problem, in which if ever we faced a problem, we need to have a creative thinking in which we will use fluency. Kailangan na to mag-generate of a lot of solutions towards a problem. So if ever kung naatay daghang solutions, so if ever ang first solution is fail, then we have a plan B. So in that way, we can solve the problem as we have a lot of alternate solutions. So next is the keywords. So the keywords that will be used are compare, convert, count, define, describe, explain, identify, label, list, match, name, outline, paraphrase, predict, and summarize. So to further understand the topic, let me present to you example application activities. So first is in tracing a picture and labeling the parts. So what have you noticed? So diba, let's go back to the previous slide. Then let's go back. So trace a picture and label the parts. As you can see, naay keyword na label. So in this, we will need to use the fluency, in which we need to have a lot of ideas in order for us to trace the picture and label the parts. Because if we don't have a lot of ideas, or if we are not knowledgeable enough to solve the certain problem, then we can never answer the certain problem. So next is outline an article you find on your topic. So the keyword here is the outline. So next is, how many uses can you think of for a clothes hanger? So as you notice, walay keywords na gigamit, di ba? Pero in fluency, it implies there na we need to understand the certain information. So in here, how many uses? So maghunahuna ta. How? So we need to count. So how many uses can you think? So let's go back to the previous slide. So naa di ba ang keywords at na count. So in here, how many uses man? So we need to count. Like for example, when man ta mag-use og kanang hanger. So di ba, after manglaba, kailangan na to i-hanger ang clothes aron mauga. Next is kanang sa drawer, di ba? I-hanger man na pud nato. So duha. So there are other ways pa para ma-use nato ang clothes hanger. So in that way, we need to count. Next is list 15 things that are commonly read or contain red. So the keyword list. So for example, apple. So di ba ang color man sa apple is red. Next is blood, brick, caboose, cherry, Christmas stocking, exit sign, fire alarm, flag, heart, red-nosed reindeer, rose, tomato, and wagon. So next, we will tackle about the flexibility, or the second Torrance framework for creative thinking. So, flexibility. Flexibility refers to the production of ideas that shows a variety of possibilities or realms of thought. It involves the ability to see things from different points of view, to use many different approaches or strategies. So, in this way, it implies that we need to look for the bigger picture. Dili lang ta kailangan mag-concentrate sa usa ka possible thing. Instead, we need to have a creative mind in thinking a lot of possibilities na pwede siya ma-use ba sa lain, or the other possibilities nga pwede siya gamiton. So the keywords to be used are change, demonstrate, distinguish, employ, extrapolate, interpolate, interpret, and predict. So to further understand, let me present you again an application ideas. So what would happen if there were no automobiles? So diba, in flexibility, it was defined there that flexibility is all about production of ideas that shows a variety of possibilities, right? So in here, we will think what would happen if there were no automobiles. So at first, we will think it will be tiring, since if there were no automobiles, we need to walk. We cannot ride for any automobiles for our life to become easier. So let's look for the bigger picture na lang. So what would happen? So diba, if there were no automobiles, there were also no air pollution, since ang automobiles is mo-produce siya og smoke, diba? So we need to look for the bigger pictures, for the other possibilities in here. So diba, if there were no automobiles, it's tiring siya because kailangan nato maglakaw. But of course, let's look for the bigger picture nga. There were no air pollution, so it will be safe for us to inhale the air. The next is, how would a dog look to a flea? So magunaw na ta, diba? So how would a dog look to a flea? So purma pa ba siyang dog or ma-flea? So let's look for another possibilities or another point of views. Next is, how would you feel if you were invisible for a day? So if me, how would I feel? Of course, I will be happy. Or how about you? Will you be happy also? So we need to think for another possibilities, because Not everyone will feel happy if they were invisible for a day. So next is, how would you group the ideas about red into categories? So example sa categories for red is the safety features and the vehicles. So once categories are identified, fluency may be further demonstrated by generating more ideas about the idea read within categories. So even a modest attempt could result in the following lists, recognizing that the creative thinking process may shift the mind in a spiral way between all four aspects of creativity. So in the example, how will we group the ideas about red into categories? So first is the fruit man to ang first, di ba? So red fruit. So first is apple. So we need to look for another variety of possibilities or approaches nga dili ra usa ang red na fruit. Instead, there are a lot of fruit na apay cherry, raspberry, and tomato. So next is the red safety features. So in red safety features, we can include the exit sign, fire alarm, stop sign, as well as the tail lights. Next is the red vehicle. So in red vehicle, we can include the caboose, the fire truck, the tricycle, and the wagon. So let's proceed to the third framework for creative thinking, which is the elaboration. So elaboration is the process of enhancing ideas by providing more details. Additional detail and clarity improves interest in and understanding of the topic. So in fluency, we need to generate ideas or another possibilities, right? And in the flexibility, we need to look for the bigger picture. So in elaboration, for us to have the creative thinking, we need to add another detail or additional detail towards our certain information or certain solutions towards a problem in order for us to solve it and understand the topic clearly. So the keywords to be used are appraise, critic, determine, evaluate, grade, judge, measure, select, and test. So to further understand, let me present to you again another application ideas. So tell your neighbor about your last family trip using as many details as possible. So if we will talk to our friend in our neighbor, so if mag-discuss, diba, mag-discuss ta is detailed by detailed kung unsay atong gisakyan or if nag-airplane ta, unsa atong nakita, right? So niabot ta, so we will provide a detailed by detailed information towards our listeners. So next is, what can you add to improve its quality or performance? So for example, what can you add to a certain brand kung tahay like lotion ba para ma-improve yung quality? So for example, we will say na let's improve its bottle or the what do you call that, the one that we will use to pump the lotion, or the packaging or the brand name para mupatok siya. So we need to provide a lot of details in order for it to be understood and in order for us to understand each other. So in that way, we need to have a creative thinking in order to produce a lot of ideas. So next is, describe all the possible characteristics of the red quality in a wagon. So example, the shade, the finish, the texture, and the uniformity. So we need to add possible characteristics tayo sa shade. Oh, we will say nga light ra, dark, or okay ra ba? It depends on our additional detail or how the wagon looks like. So let's proceed to the last framework for creative thinking by Torrance, which is all about the originality. So originality involves the production of ideas that are unique or unusual. It involves synthesis or putting information about a topic together in a new way. So in here, we need to look for another possible solutions or ideas that are unique or unusual. Kanang dili siya may kanunay ihatag or mag-give nga idea sa usa ka tawo. Like for example, if we have a research, right? So in research, we need to have our own problem and we need to have a unique solution in order for us to solve that problem. So we need to conduct surveys, questionnaires, not the usual one. If we have problems, we just need to conduct our own solution. We need to ask only one person. So in originality, we need to have a creative thinking wherein we need to conduct researches in order for us to solve the certain situation or certain problem. So what are the keywords to be remembered in originality? So the keywords are compose, create, design, generate, integrate, modify, rearrange, reconstruct, reorganize, and revise. So first is find an original use for blank. So for example, find an original use for chair. So if usual ra atong thinking mayon ta, find an original use for chair. So maingon ra ta dito, a chair is used for sitting. But there are another possible or unique ideas wherein we can use a chair. Nandili ra ta maghunahuna sa usa ka possible nga ideas. We need to look for another that are unique or unusual, like the chair. Chairs can be used as patunganan o mga flower vase. Pwede siya butangan na og flower vase, then na ang flowers ato. So diba, we generate unusual or unique information about the use of a chair. So next is, what would be the strangest one to get out of bed? So strangest. So unsa man, like mo barog ra ba ka dito, mulingkod, or muligid sa higdaanan. It depends on your unique mind. Next is design a new blank that you have that is better than the one you have. So for example, design a new bed that you have that is better than the one you have. So for example, if design ang bed, so for me, as a teenager and as a girl, I would design my bed as pink. So if there is another person who will ask you for designing a new bed that is better than mine, so for me to use my creative mind, aside from using the pink color, I need to combine another color in order for the other bed to look better than mine. So like for example, since my bed is color pink, then I will add another color for the other bed, like sky blue, yellow, in order for it to look better. So next is write an unusual title for the idea about red. So for example, revolutionary red representation. So revolution itself, diba? If revolution mo fight sa imong mga rights as a person. So in here it was entitled Revolutionary Red, as red symbolizes as power, bravery, the courage. So di ba unusual kayo nga ibutang pa revolutionary red representation. So red not just means as red, it has another representation, or it has another symbolization.
Good afternoon, Teacher Makabenta. Good afternoon, classmates. So now let's proceed to my topic, creative problem solving. Creative problem solving is an intentional process for solving problems and discovering opportunities. It espouse the use of creativity in coming up with solutions which are not only novel but practical as well. In the 1950s, Alex Osborne described this process in his book, Applied Imagination. Osborne opened the process in the public domain, which meant anyone can use it. Over the years, countless people have utilized the CPS in various fields and endeavors. So for me, from what I have learned in this creative problem solving, it is a process that generates innovative and unconventional solutions to every challenges and issues. It might involve thinking beyond traditional methods and approaching problems from different angles. But on the other hand, in Osborne's perspective, he described creative problem solving as a process of applied imagination. In Osborne's checklist, the origin of classical brainstorming is the root of creative problem solving. There are a variety of general structures, which is define problem, generate possible solutions, select and implement the best, which can be found extensively in several different academic institutions. In its most extended and formalized form, it has 6 stages, each with a divergent and a convergent pace. However, more recent publications seem more interested in focusing on procedure and techniques issues, with less weight on the full elaboration of this structure. Here are the 6 stages, each with divergent and convergent pace. These are the following, which is based on Van Grundy's description. Stage 1, mess finding. Sensitize yourself, or maybe scan or search for issues or concerns, challenges that needs to be tackled. Mess finding, it is also known as problem finding. It is the process of identifying or uncovering the underlying problems or challenges that needs to be addressed. It involves recognizing the gaps, inconsistencies, or inefficiencies in a given situation or system. Mess finding is an essential step in problem solving because it helps define the problem accurately and provides a clear understanding of what needs to be resolved. Its divergent techniques include wouldn't it be nice if, and wouldn't it be awful if, brainstorming to identify desirable outcomes and obstacles to be overcome. While convergent techniques includes the identification of hotspots or highlighting, it expresses as a list of in what ways might and selection in terms of ownership criteria, problem owners, motivation and ability to influence it, and outlook criteria, the urgency, familiarity, and stability. The next stage is data finding. Gather information about a problem. Data finding is also referred to as data discovery or data exploration. It is the process of searching for and locating relevant data to support a specific objective or answer on a particular question. It involves identifying and accessing data sources, gathering relevant information, and organizing it for analysis. Its divergent techniques include 5 W's and H, which is who, why, what, when, where, and how, and listing of wants, sources, and data. List all of your information once as a series of questions for each list of possible sources of answers. Then follow this up and for each source, list what you found. For its convergent techniques, it includes identifying hotspot again, or highlighting, mind mapping to sort and classify the information gathered, and also restating the problem in the light of your richer understanding of it. Now let's proceed to stage 3, problem finding. Convert a fuzzy statement of the problem into a broad statement more suitable for idea finding. Its divergent techniques include asking why or etc., the repeatable questions, and 5 W's and H, the why, what, and how, like that. And the convergent techniques include highlighting again, reformulation of problem statements to meet the criteria that they contain only one problem and no criteria, and selection of the most promising statement. But NB the NB that mental searching that the activity gives to participants can be important as the actual chooser. Stage 4, the idea finding. Generate as many ideas as possible. Idea finding is also known as ideation or idea generation. It is the process of generating a wide range of creative and innovative ideas. It involves brainstorming and exploring different possibilities to solve a problem, seize an opportunity, or generate new concepts. Its divergent techniques is using any of a very wide range of idea generating techniques. The general rules of classic brainstorming, such as deferring judgment, are likely to underpin all of this. The convergence can again involve hotspot or highlighting or mind mapping, the combining of different ideas, and the short listing of the most promising handful, perhaps with some thought for the more obvious evaluation criteria, but not over restrictively.
Stage 5, Solution Finding. Generate and select obvious evaluation criteria using an expansion or contraction cycle, and develop, which may include combining the short-listed ideas from idea finding as much as you can in the light of these criteria. Then option for the best of these improved ideas using comparison tables. Stage 6, Acceptance Finding. How can the suggestion you have just selected be made up to standard and put into practice? Shun negativity and continue to apply deferred judgment. Problems are exposed to be solved, not to be disheartened progress. Action plans are better developed in small groups of 2 to 3 rather than a large group, unless you particularly want a commitment by the whole group. Particularly for people's problem, it is often worth developing several alternative action plans. Possible techniques include 5 W's and H, implementation checklist, consensus mapping, potential problem analysis or PPA. Other models for problem solving. Bransford ideal model. First is identify the problem. Second, define the problem through thinking about it and sorting out the relevant information. Third, explore solutions through looking at alternatives, brainstorming, and checking out different points of view. 4. Act on the strategies. Number 5, look back and evaluate the effects of your activity. So first, identify the problem. So for example, gusto ka eskwela college pero dili masugot imong parents kay wala may kwarta. Financial problem. So, define the problem through thinking about it and sorting out the relevant information. So for example, magunana ka, so dili mo sagot ang parents kay wala may kwarta, wala ikagasto nga mo dong kong college. Naman na, explore solutions through looking alternatives, brainstorming, and checking out different points of view. So as ikaw nga estudyante nga gusto mo eskwela, so maghunahuna kang mga alternatives nga saon nimo nga para maka-proceed kag college. So for example, magkuan ka nga mo working ka. Tay mangita na ka og ka-workingan. So act on the strategies. So mo working na ka sa usa ka or any work nga mo makuan para makakuan ka og money. So kanta mo trabaho ka. Number 5, look back and evaluate the effects of your activity. So sa pag-eskwela na nimo, imo nang murag imo bitang i-evaluate nga mas maayo day nga ning working ko kay wala na ko nagsalig sa ginikanan sa financial, naka-proceed na ko college without nga mangayo pa ko kwarta sa ginikanan, like sa akong pagpaningkamot makahuman ko og college.